I'm Bryant Corbin, and this is my presentation on the three perspectives of sociology. The first perspective is conflict. Conflict sociology is rooted in its name and conflict. They believe that for social change to happen, there must be a conflict. One of the prime leaders in this way of thinking is Karl Marx. He created Marxism, which then spiraled into communism, came about because of conflict between the bourgeoisie and the lower class. The next one is interactionalists. Interactionists. I didn't know. They believe that there is no patterns in society that is ever flowing and changing. It's also called neo-Marxism. And one of the main contributors today is Roland Robertson, this man. What I'll be mostly talking about today is functionalism. And functionalism is the idea that society is a machine with many different parts and doing things independently, but working together as a whole for the betterment of society. So the first person I'll talk about today is Emil Durkheim, who is considered one of the fathers of sociology, of this way of thinking for sociology. He did a lot of studies on suicide and how somebody's social identity was very strongly linked to whether or not they would commit suicide, and people with much stronger social identities had a very decreased chance of suicide. His other big interest was education and how education affected society as a whole and what education did to better improve us. The next was Herbert Spencer, who did a lot of work with biology and sociology, such as sociology of evolution and how over time humans and our society as a whole have evolved and changed, and how our social structure has changed. He also did comparisons in the animal kingdom between humans and animals, and how they had their different ways of society and life, and how they were very similar, and how the difference between animals and higher thinking organisms was that animals worked in the society for themselves and the betterment of themselves, whereas higher thinking organisms worked in society for the betterment of those organisms. There are different functions inside of functionalism. Manifest is a direct occurrence in the social standing from an action. If you get a higher education, you will have a higher identity in the social ladder. Whereas a latent function is something that is caused over time because of something. Like education causes a better job, and the better job causes more money in life, and the more money causes a higher social standing. And then there's dysfunctional. Dysfunctional is a negative cause of a society, and it goes against the functionalism. Example of this is overpopulation. Whereas we grow, our food supply diminishes and the space on Earth diminishes, which causes a problem in society. So some of the studies that were done was one I went over with suicide. Emil Durkheim really interested in that one. Like I said, he did a lot of work on that and why it happened, and the idea that even though it is a very deep personal thing, that it may be caused because of society, or society may have a bigger role on it than just the one person. And another study that is widely focused on was education. And Emile, again, thought that education had a universal betterment of society, and that the more people were educated, the better the society was. Whereas Talcott Parsons believed that education then leads to a second social standing. The more you're educated, you create a second standing in the social ladder. And functionalism has impacted sociology a lot, but it has become more of a idealistic way of thinking in sociology. That the world is a lot messier than functionalism makes it out to be, and that it has spawned a lot of ways of thinking and ideas, but those have been changed, and now there are different ways of thinking. And I'm Bryant Corbin, and this is my presentation on sociology.